Hello, everyone. Greetings from Aster RV Hospital, JP Nagar, Bangalore. I'm Dr. Soumya, consultant neurologist, and we have Dr. Ravish Kheni, who's a neurologist and epileptologist. Now, on the occasion of National Epilepsy Day, we want to talk briefly on epilepsy, clear some misconceptions, give you a few details about what is epilepsy and how we should treat and manage this. So let us start off. Just click on this. Yeah. So you can start off with what a seizure is.
Yeah. So seizure is a neurological condition characterized by brief temporary disturbance in the electrical activity of the brain, and it may affect the body's various parts. So it may affect the muscle control and movement. It may affect the speech. It may affect vision. It may affect eye movements. Sometimes it may affect the patient's awareness or behavior. This is because the seizure can, this is important to know because seizures can have various symptoms. So depending on from where it starts and where it spreads, symptoms will vary.
What are the causes of a seizure? Why a seizure should occur? Now, the most common causes are it can be some structural problems in the brain, like stroke or a bleeding into the brain, or some tumors in the brain. Sometimes they can be brain injuries, like in a car, road traffic accidents, or brain injury during birth. So these could be few common causes. And sometimes we have genetic causes, like if there is someone in the family who's suffering from seizures, there can be other members who may be affected. And then we have certain metabolic disturbances like high or low blood sugars, sodium disturbances like high sodium or low sodium disturbances. Another common causes are infections, which affect the brain as well, like common causes tuberculosis. Then there can be bacterial infections, viral infections like recently we had COVID-19 that can also affect the brain, and fungal and parasitic infections. And a lot of other causes like near drowning or lack of oxygen from other causes. Sometimes there can be febrile seizures in children when they can have fits when they have high fever. Some medications, substance abuse like alcohol withdrawal. All these are some common causes for seizures.
So epilepsy is also known as a seizure disorder. It's a chronic neurological disorder characterized by the patient having recurrent seizures that are not provoked by an acute injury or health emergency. So seizure is the event, and epilepsy is a disease when patient has spontaneously recurring seizures.
So we have already discussed these causes of epilepsy, but there can be some triggers. Now, there can be there's a patient who has a tendency to have fits or epilepsy, and certain situations can make them more prone. One common cause is failure to take the medication correctly. Sometimes they are on medication, still they can get fits. This means that we need to adjust the medication dosages. Sometimes a very common trigger is sleep deprivation, and they've not slept well or they're traveling. Sometimes stress or any systemic illness can trigger metabolic causes like low blood sugars, dehydration, alcohol or drug use or withdrawal, hormonal fluctuations like during the menstrual period. And another common trigger is flashing lights or other triggers.
So broadly speaking, seizure are classified into two types. There are first is generalized seizure and second is partial seizures. So generalized again subclassify into generalized tonic-clonic, where patient has loss of consciousness followed by tonic-clonic jerks. Absence seizure will last for a few seconds, where the patient tired, typically in children where they have vacant stare for a few seconds. Myoclonic jerk, where the patient has jerking of the muscles. Atonic, where the patient has loss of body tone and falls. And partial seizure are again divided into simple partial, where the patient's consciousness is retained, complex partial, where the consciousness is impaired, and second generalized, where the patient has loss of consciousness. So just to illustrate, you can see that this in this particular picture, you can see that there is a large cloud which is seen, which occupies almost one entire portion of the brain. And from this large cloud, there you can see there are a few sparks coming out. So in generalized seizure, the electrical activity involves the entire brain to start off with. Whereas the partial seizure, it starts in a small area of the brain. You can see here the cloud compared to the previous one is very small, and it's more localized to a small portion of the brain. So the symptoms which patient has depend on what type of seizures they have. So our brain has 4 parts or divisions known as the lobes. So there are 2 hemispheres, right and left, and each hemisphere has 4 divisional lobes. So you can see in this picture, the yellow one is the parietal lobe, the green one is the occipital lobe, the blue one temporal lobe, and the large area red is the frontal lobe. So symptoms what the patient has depends on what they have. So if patients have seizures from the parietal lobe, they sometimes feel like some abnormal sensations like pain, etc. on opposite part of the body. If the occipital lobe, which controls the vision, they will become blind. If it's a temporal lobe, which controls the patient's memory, they just lose the memory, they become stuck like statue for a few seconds, for a few minutes, and they don't remember what happened during that. And from frontal lobe, the patient can symptoms like the opposite part of the body can become twisted. So it may be a face, it may be a hand, and sometimes even the hand and leg as well. Along with that, the eyes can go to one side. So the symptoms which they have depend on from where this starts. Whereas in generalized seizures, the commonest one, as I told you, in children is the absence seizures, where you can see this child was reading up from the class notes. Suddenly she becomes stuck for a few seconds. So just they get stuck for a few seconds. So this is commonly mistaken for daydreaming, and the teachers commonly complain to the parents that a child is daydreaming in class. But actually, it's a seizure they're having, and if it's not identified, it often goes undiagnosed. And the commonest one which you see in the day-to-day basis is this tonic-clonic seizures, where patient has 2 phases. Initially, tonic phase, where the entire body becomes stiff. It's called the clonic jerking, where they're jerking of the upper limb and lower limb.
Now, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding epilepsy. And it's very important to be aware of this and clarify these things. One myth is that epilepsy is contagious. That means that it can spread from person to person, or if you are in contact with a patient with epilepsy, then we can get epilepsy too. So this is a misconception. Epilepsy is definitely not a contagious disease. You cannot get epilepsy just by being in contact with an epilepsy patient. The second myth is that some people believe that we can swallow the tongue during a seizure, and that's why they try to put a cloth inside or put a spoon inside to hold the tongue. Now, again, this is very dangerous. The tongue cannot be swallowed like that. It is fixed to the base of the mouth. And it is very dangerous to put any objects during a seizure because it can injure, the patient can swallow it, and it can be life-threatening. So when a patient is having a seizure, nothing should be put into the mouth. The third myth is that when a person is having a seizure, you should restrain them. Again, you should not hold them tightly. Again, this may lead to injury. And another thing people believe is that people with epilepsy cannot work or drive. So people with epilepsy, if they are under correct medications and they are in regular follow-up with their doctors and their seizures are well controlled, they can lead a normal, healthy life like anybody else. So these things we have discussed. So we have discussed the causes as well, like stroke, brain infections. Sometimes memory disorders like Alzheimer's disease can give rise to seizures, brain injury, genetic forms of epilepsy. Okay, so this is another myth. We cannot swallow our tongue during a seizure. So do not insert anything into a patient's mouth while they're having a seizure. And then do not restrain someone while they're having a seizure. It can cause an injury. Instead of restraining them, gently turn them on their side, put something under their head, and make sure objects have been removed around them so that they cannot hurt themselves. So people with epilepsy have the same intelligence and abilities as anyone else. Many individuals can live regular lives, and it should not be hindered by having a seizure disorder. Of course, when the seizures are not controlled with medications, then you need to consult your neurologist so that the medications can be adjusted. Many people with epilepsy have jobs at all levels of government, business, arts, and other professions and are leading a very normal and healthy life. Of course, there's some restrictions about driving in case of patients with epilepsy. This is important because if the seizures are not controlled and the patient has loss of consciousness or impaired awareness, then it can lead to an accident, which is dangerous to the patient life, the other people who are in the car, and as well as uh, other people. Another very common myth is that epilepsy is caused by possession of evil spirits, and people resort to all sorts of other treatment. This is the most common myth. Epilepsy is a neurological condition. It is a disorder of the brain, and it is not due to supernatural forces or possession by evil spirit. And another misconception is that people with epilepsy should not marry. So people with epilepsy, they can be under regular follow-up with a neurologist, and with the consent of the two partners, they can marry, they can have a healthy and normal life. Another misconception is that many people, while the patient is having a fit, they try to give a key or a metal object in the hand, or they make the person to smell the shoe or an onion. This again is false. Most of the seizures, they stop on their own within 1 to 2 minutes. Sometimes, of course, they go on for a longer time, but they just stop and you don't need to do these things. So what to do when you see a patient having a seizure? So you know you can't stop the seizure by doing any of these things, but what you can do, you can protect the person from any real or potential danger and do administer first aid if they're injured. So first, keep calm and reassure the person, protect them from injury, remove harmful objects in their surroundings, because while having a seizure, when their bodies shaking vigorously, they can injure themselves. So remove the harmful objects, cushion the head with whatever soft objects there are, like a jacket or a pillow. Aid breathing by gently placing the person in the recovery position when the seizure has stopped. Record the time and duration of seizure and stay with the person until they have fully recovered. What you shouldn't do, like we discussed, don't put anything in the person's mouth. Don't move the patient unless they are in danger. Don't restrain the person. Don't give anything for them to eat or drink. This can be dangerous. And yeah, don't attempt to bring the person around. So this picture tells it all. So, remove objects which can injure them, make them safe first, cushion the head, turn them to one side, time the seizure, and reassure them and call for help.
So how is epilepsy diagnosed? So for diagnosing epilepsy, we basically need two important investigations. One is EEG, which is a graph. So as you all know, like ECG is a cardiac graph, which is there. Similarly, EEG is a brain graph, which helps to find out the electrical activity is arising from where in the brain. So whether we are dealing with a generalized seizure where it comes from entire brain as a whole, or focal seizure or partial seizure where it comes in a particular area of brain. Other the brain scans, the important ones which are required is basic CT scan and MRI. MRI is the very modality of choice compared to CT scan, because the epilepsy abnormalities are usually very small abnormalities which are not picked up by CT scan. So epilepsy can be safely managed with medicines. Up to 70% of people with medicines will take medicines for epilepsy. Seizures are well controlled if they take the right medicine and the right dosage prescribed. Along with that, if they follow the lifestyle advice. So these medicines are available, widely available in the market and also under government schemes. And they are drugs which are very, very safe, can be taken safely by patients of all age groups. So of course, there are some side effects which are very minor and can be easily managed. So people should not unnecessarily stop medicines believing that they may get side effects. So these medicines do not have any severe effect on liver or kidney and can be safely taken by all patients of all age groups. So, but unfortunately, the thing is that there are few patients, roughly about 20 to 30%, who take medicines regularly. Despite that, they have seizures which happen regularly, despite taking medicines. So if this keep on occurring, these medicines are not working. So we label these patients to be having something known as drug-resistant epilepsy. So which who continue to have seizure despite taking medicines. So for this, there are various other therapies available. So the commonest among them are the mainly dietary therapy, which is usually in children, where we give a diet known as ketogenic diet, which is high in fat and low in carbohydrate. Apart from that, there are other therapies available like the surgeries and something known as vagus nerve stimulator. So the procedures depend on the patient's seizure origin. So we do tests like video EEG and MRI, and based on that, we are able to find out seizure focus. So surgeries can be done which involving remove a small area of brain like something like laminectomy or a large area like lobectomy. Sometimes when seizures arise from a large area of entire one half of brain, we can do hemispherotomy. And certain children who have drop attacks and who have seizures with daily drop attacks, in that we can build the bridge between left and right of the brain by doing a procedure like crazotomy. So these facilities are available in few centers in India, ours being one of them. So we have a comprehensive epilepsy team comprising of neurologists, epileptologists. We have neurosurgeons who are trained in epilepsy surgery, neuropsychologists, radiologists who are trained in interpreting the MRI. Along with that, we have in-house nuclear medicine facilities and facilities for video EEG, and of course support from other workers like social workers, occupational therapists, speech therapists.
So thank you. I hope we have been brief and we've been helpful to make you understand what epilepsy is. Even to this day, many patients are not receiving the appropriate treatment for epilepsy. I think we should make ourselves aware and our friends and family aware about this, and contribute in some way so that ensure that patients with epilepsy receive appropriate treatment and are able to lead a very normal and healthy life like anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.